Joining me today, 104.5 The Team and 104.5theteam.com is Dan Savit of the Prep Baseball Report, back with us again, this time breaking down the Major League Draft, breaking down upcoming state tournament action. We've got two Section 2 teams in action in the state tournament. Dan, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
First, I want to hit the draft. It was a great week for Section 2. Draft Monday through Wednesday. It started on Monday. Garrett Whitley of Niskayuna, number 13 overall selection to the Tampa Bay Rays. And then we saw two other Section 2 products taken later in the draft. CBA graduate Trevor Lacoste out of Bryant University, 23rd round to the Marlins. And Greenwich senior John Stewart, 40th round to the Braves. We'll start on Whitley, Dan, number 13 overall. You surprised by that?
No, I think that's a pretty fair draft. I think, that we talked earlier, a few weeks ago about how he had been some places that talked about him being the number one overall. We thought that was maybe a little unfair to him because that's a pretty wild pick. But we talked between the 12th and like the 17th where we felt from an organization we felt that was a really good fit for him. And when he went 13th, we felt really good about it. That's an awesome pick for him. A great organization, good development. He's going to have tons of chances, and he's such a great kid. I mean, I sent him a text that night and just congratulated him, and the kid got back to me. I mean, I know he's busy. He got back to me and thanked me for the stories and the continual coverage of him and his game. What a great kid, great family. So we're really, really excited for him and can't wait to see his progress.
This may be a bit of a stupid question, but I feel like I got to ask you, having been a guy who got to pro ball, this is a no-brainer for Whitley to sign, right? You could never fault a kid for going to college and getting a degree, or at least getting 3 years closer to your degree. He's committed to Wake Forest, but we're talking about millions of dollars on the table here. This is a no-brainer for him, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was drafted in the in the first round. I was drafted in the third round and signed. I think it's always a family decision, and I think he probably already had these sort of things ironed out. He probably had a certain dollar amount, figure, round selection, things like that were already predetermined. So I think if a team took him high enough, they knew that he's definitely going to sign. So I mean, he does have Wake Forest in his back pocket, but I think it's a no-brainer. You'll hear in the next week or two that Garrett Whitley's headed to extended spring training at one of either in Arizona or Florida. I think it's Florida probably.
He can't sign officially until after his high school graduation, so we're probably looking at a week and a half until we can learn exactly what Garrett Whitley's fate will be. How big is this for Section 2? How big is it for New York in general? Again, 3 players drafted this year. Last year, off the top of my head, I think it was 5 when you're looking at Jeff Hoffman, Brandon Cogswell, Matt Gage, Brian O'Keefe, and J.P. Sportman. That's 8 players in 2 seasons here drafted just out of Section 2. How big is that for this area and this state?
Well, I think it shows that we do have the talent in New York State. I just think that we just don't get out as much, and it really proves the point of why something, a scouting service or something that was not there before in New York, like the Prep Baseball Report, now we are, we can help get these kids more exposure. So really, that's what kills these kids is the exposure level. They're great players, and I think it's showing. This draft proves it that we have one of the top 15 guys in the country, college or high school, and he's out of a small area outside of Albany, where he didn't even play really serious travel baseball. He went out and played his Babe Ruth stuff and his Legion, and it proves that that the talent is everywhere. It's just hard to find, and so that's my job to really help these kids be seen on that platform. So we're hoping to continue that and even help these kids more, so more New York State kids can have that opportunity.
Dan Savit, Prep Baseball Report, talking about Garrett Whitley, a team. Garrett Whitley, hard to believe that just a month ago Garrett Whitley was playing against Saratoga. Now he could be headed to professional baseball. Saratoga will play tomorrow's state tournament, the state Final Four at Union Endicott High School, 1 p.m. They'll take on Orchard Park out of Buffalo. What do you got for us on that game, Dan?
Orchard Park is out of the Buffalo area. Very, very strong team. I think they only have 1 loss on the year. Very well coached. Players all over the place. A lot of 2016 graduates that are very good. A lot of juniors. Very good starter in Andrew Sipowicz, who they'll likely see in the semis. He's a Canisius commit. very, very tough, strong kid, broad shoulders, going to throw the ball 83, 85 with a good breaking ball. He's going to give Saratoga all they can chew. And, they have some great defenders. They have some good outfielders. They're going to be extremely tough, probably the best matchup other than when they played Shen, Saratoga's seen all year.
In Class C, we've also got Hoosic Valley taking on Southold. That game, 10 a.m. in Class C. The Indians look for their second consecutive state title. All presumptions would say that John Rooney on the mound for Hoosic Valley in that one. But, Dan, we've talked about this 2 or 3 weeks now in a row. We keep coming back to it. The way the tournament is set up, we had a week in between the sectional semifinal and the sectional final. We had a week in between the sectional final and the regional. You've got multiple days in between the regional and the state semis, and then the state final is the day after the state semis. So you can hold a pitcher and use the same guy pretty much all throughout the playoffs, and then you have to play the state final right after the state semifinal. I just don't like the way this is set up.
I mean, you're looking at Danny Hobbs pitching every game so far that mattered. Okay? If I'm not mistaken, he's pitched every game that's mattered for Saratoga. Okay, so he's going to probably start 100% guaranteeing he's going to start the semifinal. All right? If they win, you're looking at probably, Danny Coleman pitching for Saratoga if they make it to the finals. He hasn't pitched since when? Think about that. When's the last time he's pitched? So it is very frustrating, because you just don't know if you have the best teams. But I guess like with anything else, it's just the way the world works. But we don't know if these are the top 4 teams. Mamaroneck is in it from the Hudson Valley area. They have some great players, but they slipped a lot in the middle of the season. They made a run in playoffs. So and they were in the same boat where they could hold a pitcher and have one ace, a lefty ace that could go, and really take them to the finals or take them to the semifinals. So. Yeah, it's frustrating. We're going to be there in full force in Binghamton on Saturday. We're going to be at all the venues. There's like 15 games I think scheduled, so it's going to be exciting. We're going to bring a lot of coverage, so we hope people can tune into our Twitter feed and see what's going on.
Where are they? Where are you guys on Twitter? Where can people follow along?
It's PBR New York.
Okay, PBR New York on Twitter. Follow them. They're going to be out in Binghamton. A bunch of different sites. Every class represented there. They'll be all over it. Dan Savit, Prep Baseball Report, joining us here, 1045theteam.com. Dan, enjoy tomorrow. Have a good, fun time out there.
Hey, always a pleasure, guys. Thanks.